Hey everybody, my name is John Murphy. Welcome to On the Homefront. We're here live on WILI Radio, 1400 AM and 95.3 on the FM. We're also on YouTube at the WILI Radio YouTube channel. All the 5 o'clock shows have their own playlists, so you can always get our guests throughout the year, not just live right now, which of course the most fun for us, but if you miss the show, they're always there to keep the information going. We have another busy show this week. We're going to talk at the end of the show, another conversation with Molly Rideout. She's from the Assets for Artists program at MASS MoCA, and she'll be talking about some new arts training opportunities. They do a lot of programs throughout the year to help people set up their own arts businesses, get licenses, figure out how to price their work, and move ahead in their career path. They're very good trainings, and there's some coming up. Molly will talk about them at the end of the show. And then for the second part, we're going to focus on the work at the Ballard Institute and Museum of Puppetry up at UConn. They have a special pageant coming up, and we're going to talk with Alyson Doyle. She was with us a few weeks ago, and she'll talk about the program. There's a special festival happening here on the 20th and the 21st. So we'll get into some large-scale puppetry for the second part of the show. And right now, I'm happy to have Chris McNaboe back in the house again. She's the CEO at Horizons. I've had her on the air many times over the year about the work that they do in the community. So first of all, it's good to have you back in the house, Chris. Welcome.
Thanks, John. Great to be here.
Now, very special events coming up. It's their annual fundraiser that helps them float the boat. It's a music event, and we have Mike Flanagan with us as well, with Lisa Bello as part of the music program. So, Chris, talk about the pageant and what your hopes is for this is for May 4th. It's a very special day for you.
Yes.
So kind of give us a preview.
It's a new format this year from 4 until 7 p.m., so it's a little shorter, and we really want to focus on the music and the social aspect of the evening, so there'll be lots of opportunities for people to mix and mingle. You're not stuck at a table all night. We will have some traditional kind of party activities, such as a silent auction with lots of great items there, and a great jewelry piece called the Magic Box necklace, which the necklace itself is valued at over $100. And you buy the box for $100, and then you're entered into the drawing to get the grand prize, which is a handcrafted citrine pendant with diamond studs on it. It's just gorgeous. So we have a few of those things going on. We're going to welcome our new board members in, some local folks, and say thank you to the outgoing board members. But the focus is really on the music this time.
That's right. That's where we have Mike with us on the phone today, Mike Flanagan. He's going to be performing along with Lisa Bello. Welcome to the station. Good to have you on the radio.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I know we're going to hear some of your music in a few minutes, but can you give us a little preview of what the two of you have in store for this gathering at Horizons?
Lisa and I have been a unit musically since 2011,
right.
And we've worked with we've kind of been this dynamic duo. We've added a lot of folks to what we do in different settings, and two new additions are a guitar player and drummer that we've been playing with for the last 3 years, and they're both wonderful. The guitar player is only 21. He's kind of a prodigy. His Cam Hutchings, and then the drummer is named Christian McCarthy, who's originally from New York City, but is based here on the Cape and performs in the Improv and Sun a lot. But so the four of us will be there at the event, and what's great about when the four of us play together is that we continuously surprise ourselves, because someone always takes things somewhere, and we're like, oh, let's go in that direction, and then it's kind of just like a fun adventure for everybody. So.
Just want to mention, folks, if you're still joining us today, we're speaking with Mike. He's an award-winning saxophonist, pianist, songwriter, composer, music director, educator, and actor. And one thing I wanted to just have you talk about briefly, Mike, is something that I talk to musicians about, is how music came into your life early. You were fortunate as a young guy, getting some exposure, and that really opened a big door for you and through your grandpa as well, if I understand right. Okay, so can you talk a bit, because you're an educator, what it means to get into art as a young person today?
It's definitely, I always think about it like, even if I weren't doing it professionally,
right?
I would always be grateful to have it as an outlet, because it's just this constant option, or whatever, this endless option to create anytime that you want. So that's kind of this invaluable thing. Like you have this source of create. You know, you can start creating at any moment. And so yeah, I always kind of, even when adults tell me they are like, oh, I wish I had taken piano lessons when I was younger.
Right.
I think it's too late. And, you know, I'm like, no, I mean, in the past, I've started students as old as 80. So, like, it's never too late. You know, if you are inspired by it, then go for it. And even in whatever capacity, however much you can do. So.
And how are things today for people who are finishing school? Maybe like you went through Berkeley and you went through many programs. How's the marketplace for new players today trying to find their way in this new marketplace of industry changes and technology access? How's it playing out for new people?
Yeah, you know, I wonder about that because I look at, like I went to Berkeley College of Music in Boston, and Berkeley now I feel like is like a factory, and they're just like, you know, they have thousands of students and they have tons coming through there. And I do often ask myself, I'm like, well, I wonder like how and where all these people are going to work. I will say that especially like younger folks, I do think that they have gotten really savvy with social media and kind of finding ways to get paid that way and in really creative ways. But still, it does kind of like make me wonder because it's, you know, it's not easy. But some people find a strike of luck, but that's a lot of people have to find some luck. So I don't know, but.
Well, let's hear a little music now. We have some time. Chris is with us here. We're going to have two selections. The first one is a short one, so maybe before we hear it, Mike, you could give us a little setup for this tune. It's called My Boo.
Yeah, so Lisa and I oftentimes will close our show with this, and the reason why is because the chord progression, the chords that this song is written over, a lot of other songs fit over those chords. So it kind of becomes this playground, and Lisa can go into whatever song she wants. And it's always kind of like exciting for the audience and really fun for the audience because they end up hearing maybe 5 or 6 different songs. They're like, oh, I haven't thought about this song in so long, but that's what that song allows us to do, so that's why we usually end with it.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of whimsy to it, a little whimsy.
Right.
Okay, so this is My Boo, folks. Enjoy. Okay. That's got a little bit of the funk in there. I got to tell you, I'm moving. I'm sitting still, but I'm moving. What are you doing to me?
You see, that's why it's one of my favorites. It can get the whole room up dancing, and that's part of the focus of this gala, to just really have a nice party. And that's why I wanted people to hear this music and really be able to enjoy all the sides of this music that Mike and Lisa do. But this is a great song.
Yes, indeed. In fact, what we'll do after we finish our chat, we'll do an entire song to give you a full flavor for this. And also, I have to give you a shout-out to a musical friend of mine, Steve Davis. You've worked with him. And he had a chance to play with the great Boo Haina as a jazz messenger. And he's keeping the trombone alive. So what was it like to work with Steve on this thing called Many Rivers?
Yeah, wow. Thank you for asking. I mean, it was a dream. You know, so the sound clip you just played was from a venue called The Club in Provincetown. And that venue was co-owned by Leah Delaria and Frank Christopher. Frank Christopher owned Smoke Jazz Club in New York City for 20 years and then, you know, said goodbye to Smoke and came to Provincetown. And he and Steve Davis are really good friends through that history of Smoke and before, I think. But so Frank originally arranged for Steve and I to perform together, and we had the best time. And then when I was recording this new album, Many Rivers, which won't be out for a little while, it probably will be, you know, eight or so months before it comes out. But we are in the process of working on it now. I asked Steve, I said, hey, would you be up for, you know, playing on a song with us on the new album? He said, absolutely. He came to the studio, and it was pretty magical, I have to say.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So. He's wonderful. So, by the way, I just want to mention too, I really enjoy learning about you from all the information and your experience. It'd be nice maybe later in the year when that comes out, we should come back and do another conversation if you don't mind. It'd be really cool.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, I would love to. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have Mike come back and play in town, someplace locally. We're trying to work on some local venues to do some more music live, and maybe this is the beginning of getting some people excited about that.
Well, we've been networking with the venues in our area to do just that. So having another conversation, there's so much more to your story right now, Mike, than we have time for. You know, the travels you had as a young guy when you went to Japan and played some classic venues as a young Turk kind of thing. So these would be really nice stories to follow up on. Can you talk a little bit while we have some time about the range of music? You probably go into different places, but we heard a really wonderful R&B kind of soulful thing, you know, with Lisa. But where are you going to be traveling? Is there a particular mix you have in mind with the instruments you have?
You mean like upcoming travel?
Well, I mean in terms of what's going to happen this week here. I'm sorry, on May 4th.
I'm sorry, forgive me.
Sorry, May 4th.
So that's kind of another reason why Lisa and I clicked so immediately when we first started working together is because we have a love for a lot of different kinds of music, and when we were together, there was no limitation on, you know, where we could take things. So we could do like various styles or kind of mixed styles together, and
nice.
Yeah, so that always, I don't know, it's kind of was like the world is our oyster, musically speaking, and so we could be free to try anything we wanted to without being worried it wasn't going to land. So.
Well, that's a joyous gift to be able to find a partner to play with that way, and you always end up on the same page at the end.
That's right, exactly.
And something else, you know, we're doing this in April when spring is busting out, and I noticed that you're very involved in P-Town. One of my favorite towns in New England is Provincetown, and you've been very involved with the scene up there. What are your thoughts for the year, and how are they coming back after COVID and some economic troubles up there?
I always say, like, when music came back, that's how I frame, May of 2021, because it really was like it meant that we could all perform again, and so that's when that's kind of when this ride really went into like hyperdrive, and it hasn't stopped since. So it's been a great thing. And the funny thing, I was talking to someone else about this recently, but that first summer of 2021, everyone was so happy to be outside and just having life back to normal that they were tipping like crazy. So we were making like a fortune in tips that summer, and then it kind of has gone down just back to normal, I would say, since then. So it's just like a funny thing to take note of, that like everyone was like, wow, remember those tips from 2021? But
well, I wish you a good season ahead. Hopefully good weather up there and some good times. That's a beautiful place to go up there, and in so many ways. And we'll look forward to getting you back here after Chris can arrange for some local gigs, and we'll continue the conversation. There's so many other things, some of the other awards you won, the Out Music Awards, and charting on Billboard. There's so many ways that you're dealing with the industry in new ways now, and it's nice to share that story. So we'll come back to that later on, okay?
Great, yeah.
And,
Chris.
I'm not working alone here trying to get Mike some more gigs. I'm working with Chris Beaudry, and he's a great musician locally. And
a programmer,
Yeah, and I just like to make sure that people can buy tickets for the event online at horizonsct.org/gala. We have some great auction items for you to look at there, and there's tickets available still. Everybody might have seen the big billboard in town that has Mike and Lisa's pictures on it. So we want to make sure that people who are hoping to go don't wait till the last minute, and they can get their tickets early.
Yeah. Now, so we have one more song to go with, Mike, but I just want to mention one thing, too. This is going to be Saturday, May 4th from 4 to 7, and Horizons is at 127 Babcock Hill Road in South Windham. Just go to the website, and it's all there for you, horizonsct.org. So, Mike, when you send this off, can you set us up for Clean House? This is a live rendition, but tell us about Clean House, and then we'll get right to it.
Yeah, Lisa and I, we put the, I would say the studio version of this song on our 2019 album, which was a follow-up to the first album we released together. And it's another one that we love to perform. And when we decided to do a live album, we thought we had to, include this in the 10 songs that we're going to do for the live album. But it's kind of like the breakup song for the, we'll say Lisa as like the woman who's like empowering herself, like I'm getting rid of everything that you left here, but it's like the point of like good riddance, like that's sort of the meaning of this song is like good riddance to a relationship kind of thing. So
cleaning house, cleaning out the chi.
Right.
All right. Well, look, thanks for joining us today on the microphone. I wish you a great event here on May 4th, and we'll be talking again later in the year, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. Here's the tune, Clean House.
I ain't worried about you. You don't even text about me. Time to tear it all down. You left your email open. See, I don't know what you're smoking. Roll it up and burn it out. Try to make it right.
Way too tough.
You make me wanna fight.
Bad hands up.
Ain't scared to catch a case.
About to get rough. About to get rough. About to get rough.
Oh, spend my money.
Way too much.
Brushing it off.
All your dust.
Had enough.
Had enough. Had enough.
It's time to clean house. 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 Tired of the lying. Oh, you wasn't even trying. Now you gotta go. All of this trash you gave me, you know I can't recycle crazy. Oh, this ends tomorrow. Now you want a curb,
All your bluffs.
put it in a barrel.
All tied up.
Garbage truck coming.
Picking you up. Picking you up. Picking you up.
Oh, call my girls.
Feeling the rush.
Now we in the street,
Selling that stuff.
on the next run.
Cleaning this up. Cleaning this up.
It's time to clean house. 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 Clean house, clean house. Hey, move out, move out. Clean house, clean house. Get out, get out. Clean house, clean house. Move out, move out. Clean house, clean house. It's time to 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 clean. Oh, get out. House. It's time to clean. It's time to clean. It's time to clean. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Hey, we're back on here on the Homefront Live. Glad to have you with us. If you'd like to join us to come in the studio and share your story, you're invited to do so. Just use the email. We'll figure out the best date for you. Any Wednesday between 5 and 6, we're live right here on WILI AM 1400 and 95.3 Digital FM. These shows are also on YouTube, so if you're a guest like Alyson is, you can get a link to your story and you can share this in your own media. But that's kind of what we do each week here, so just join us. Feel free. We're on the air all year long. So we have Alyson Doyle back in the house. She's finishing her MFA at UConn at the Ballard Institute and Museum of Puppetry, an internationally known place for puppetry and the history of this culture. She's finishing this year, and there's a special event coming up this weekend that focuses on Marc Chagall. And we had her back about a month ago talking about some other events that she's been doing with Arts Center East. But it's good to have you back in the house now.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I know. You're barely here with us. The show's coming up on the 20th and 21st, and it's a real last-minute crunch. But it's going to be really beautiful when you pull it all off.
I think so. I'm floating through life at the moment, like Marc Chagall's imagery. But yeah,
that's true. Everything does float, doesn't
Everything
it?
floats.
That's right. So when you come to the show, be sure to bring an anchor for your chair.
That's right.
Some heavy lead weights.
Sandbags. That's right.
To keep yourself grounded, right? So tell us a little bit about Marc Chagall, why you chose him over other possible artists, and the art of puppetry that drew you so close to your life and your path. What was it about that form that was your heart, your focus?
I think it's sort of the intersectionality of my personality. I started out studying art history a long time ago, and then I segued into performance through comedy. And nothing was ever quite the right thing. That was the combination of all of those things until I found puppetry. And my affinity or my appreciation of Marc Chagall is just that, first of all, beautiful imagery, always romantic, always inspiring, always full of love, despite the fact that he went through a lot in his life. And this is a piece that's very relevant now, I think, in terms of crises, war, immigration.
Sad
people
to say.
People having to be on the move, forced to be on the move. And upheaval, but he did all of this, and coming from a very poor background with very few resources in many ways, he did all this with such grace that I think that it's nice to be able to focus on the inspirational aspect of that now, especially.
Right. So this is happening on the 20th and the 21st. And there's a program for each day, and there's a pageant, which is why it's going to be an outdoor event, hopefully. I guess you have an indoor option,
We
right?
have an indoor backup.
So kind of preview the days for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, on Saturday and Sunday, it starts out at 1:30 in the afternoon with a free puppetry workshop. That's behind the Ballard Museum.
And that's up in stores, by the way, at the Royce Center.
That's correct,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
And we'll be there's a few scenes in the show, so it's Chagall's biography, and there's a few scenes where, one involving fish, because he had a lot of flying fish, and one involving dancing chicken. And so people will have the opportunity to bring your kids, or adults can make puppets too, and make fish or chickens or umbrellas, and there's some scenes where you can jump into the circle and dance around to the music too, as per community pageantry sort of tradition. So that starts at 1:30, and then that's till 3:30, and then we're doing a little parade around the corner to the circle, and then the pageant will start at 4 and run about 45 minutes.
45 minutes, great. And these are 2 days, so you have 2 opportunities for that. Well, let me ask you about your personal journey, though, briefly. After this is over and you have a little time to crash and recover and get ready to graduate, so how are you going to be applying this experience for the next year in your journey?
A few ways, potentially. I got some good news about an art therapy program that I've been accepted into either for this fall or the subsequent fall. So I'll be sort of really thinking about these themes of trauma in life and how people have used art to overcome trauma.
Absolutely.
So that's one way I'll be using it. And I really want to tour this show in different iterations, smaller versions, like out of suitcase, kind of almost toy theater style.
Like a portable
hybrid.
pop-up theater,
Exactly.
right? Like a little diorama, and they move it around.
Yeah,
Right?
that kind of thing. And the two-hander was a lot of fun too. So Carrie Fowler and I, who's another person in the program,
Right.
we hope to do the two-hander. in different venues as well.
Right. And will your training be here in Connecticut, or are you traveling a little bit?
I'm traveling a little bit. So I'm from Canada. So I will stay here on a visa for some time, depending on if I'm going to school or not in the fall or the following year. But I am going, the next week, we're going to do the two-hander version of this show at the University of Toronto for their alumni show. So I'm already started traveling just to stay awake and, and at it. Yeah. Build momentum while I can.
We know over the years I've had occasional guests from the Ballard Institute, and one thing I like to explore with anybody who's into this art form is, in the U.S., our cultural focus on puppetry is really different, and it's all for kids and small, simple stories for children, but not the adult world of politics, life and death, spiritual doubt. But in other cultures, this is as powerful as TV.
Right.
It's as powerful as a book.
Right.
Can you talk about that power and how other cultures look at these small or large puppets in very different ways?
Right. Well, I think a lot of other cultures have more reverence for animism of objects and things like that, and what value they add to people's spiritual lives. And I think that's true. I think that it's more ubiquitous in North America because of the fact that we are really a melting pot of all cultures. I think it does exist here in every community. It's just not as publicized or as popular as the Muppets or that kind of thing. Yeah, but like, I think it does come alive a lot, like in street festivals for like Chinese New Year, like Dancing Dragons, like that's puppetry. So it is here to find, and maybe that's the exciting part, that it is a little bit under the radar and it's something you can go out looking for.
Yeah, like El Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, with the ancestors in the cemetery having the meal together.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. Yeah. And do you have any sense here that you find the educational system is trying to bring some of this into play more, so people are looking at it in a more creative way? As the cultures mix more, people get seeds planted for expression.
Yeah, I think I took a great class at UConn in like modernism and puppetry, and we asked questions like that, like, was there really any such thing as modernism, or was it always just a collective melting of many different styles and genres coming together?
Yeah.
So I do think the education system is slowly addressing these things under like the umbrella of like diversity and that kind of thing. But I still think it's most exciting at grassroots level in communities, and that's why I hope to do this more at the community level and offer workshops around it and that kind of thing. And when I do these community workshops, something that was really touching for me was like kids would come in from all different backgrounds and stuff, and so we'd be making like Chagall fish, or I'd tell them to make a fish, and I'd show them the Chagall fish, but I'd encourage them to make a fish of their own.
Right.
And so they would bring in all of these influences, right? Like snailfish, shellfish, and
from their family.
From their family, right. And that were what they know. And so hopefully some of those kids will be there on the weekend, and those things will be represented in this show too.
I know in our region we've got the Bread and Puppet Theater in Vermont. That's world famous as well. Incredible. So maybe one quick thing too, while you're finishing the MFA, if somebody was thinking about this art form, could you give us kind of a mini capsule of what the stages are for you from when you started? You had a couple of years. What's the process for you to finish up overall?
Well, you apply, if you're applying as a graduate student, you apply just to be accepted into the master's program first. So then you have a period of 2 years to do the recommended coursework and see if you would like to develop a full-fledged creative project like this, or if you just want to graduate with the master's degree. So that's one aspect of it. And some people do, and some people go. It's very individualized, this program, more so than others, I think, because of all the different styles.
Because of the nature of the thing.
The nature of the thing.
Sure.
And the influences that where people are coming from and inspired by, that kind of thing. Yeah. But that's the basic trajectory.
Well, congratulations on finishing everything.
Thank you.
And I wish you a great thing. Again, this is coming up on the weekend, 20th and 21st, starting at 1:30, up in stores, up at like the Royce Center. Stop by the museum because you have a little bit of their collection. They have an immense collection. Some of it's in storage for safekeeping in the Depot campus. And there is a lab that you have as well for puppet creation, right? There's a lab there.
Yeah. And right now there's a bigger exhibit called Taking Care, and it's some of those things that have been in storage for a long time have been pulled out, and it's a really beautiful main gallery exhibit at the moment called Taking Care.
So that's up at Royce Center up in Mansfield. This is all sponsored by the Mansfield Downtown Partnership, by the way. So thanks for being here. I wish you a great time, and I wish you the best when you travel abroad.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All righty. Well, stay with us. We're going to go into some art training opportunities. If you want to get a business going, you want to learn how to market your art in a better way, stay with us. We're going to talk to Molly Rideout after these messages. Okay, we're back live here on the Homefront. Very happy to have you with us on this afternoon. For the next segment, we're going to look at a great program. It's a great assets for artists. It's a resource for artists of all kinds involving, developing their personal skills, their business skills, to help them network with other artists. I want to mention right now the website is assetsforartists.org. And right now on the telephone, I'm happy to have another conversation with Molly Rideout. She's the assistant director of the program, and we've been speaking off and on for a couple of years. Molly, it's good to have you back here on the radio.
Oh, it's wonderful to be back. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So maybe one thing we'll do right off the top, there's a couple of programs coming up soon that you want people to know about. Let's get into those right now. I read the stuff that you sent, and these are good opportunities for people who are planning ahead for the new year.
Yeah, we've got 2 new workshops coming up that are open to artists across rural Connecticut, which, your listeners will know that pretty much all of Northeast Connecticut counts as rural, at least as far as the government's concerned.
You bet, as far as we're concerned, too.
And so we just announced these. They're kind of some last-minute workshops, so I love the opportunity to let folks know about them. They're both online workshops, which means you can log in from your own computer at home or go to the library to attend them. The first is Project Management 101 with Anna Tina Harrow, and this will be on the week of Tuesday, April 30th, and Thursday, May 2nd. So a Tuesday and a Thursday, same week. And this is for anyone who is just trying to figure out, who's a creative of any discipline, trying to figure out how to run something, that's a little more complicated than maybe just writing a song or creating a painting. So maybe it's putting together a whole show or putting on a music festival. And this workshop is 2 days, as I mentioned, and it will go over everything, and you'll leave with all of these excellent tools. You'll get an example of what a budget would look like, how to make sure you're paying yourself, how to plan out marketing and how long it takes to get your material together, and how much lead time the different publications would need to help you promote. How to work with collaborators if there's other people that you're having to work with, and make sure everyone's on the same page. And so that's honestly one of my favorite workshops that we offer. And so that'll be on Tuesday and Thursday, April 30th and May 2nd. And then the other one is a little more specific for a certain kind of artist. It's called The Art of Licensing with Alyson Doyle. This is really about for visual artists who are interested in surface design and want to get their creative images on things like fabric or other objects, to be able to kind of sell that as well as just selling the original illustration or something. And so Alyson has been a surface designer for many, many years, and we'll walk through kind of the basics of what you need to know in the industry, for getting your work on wall art, giftware, apparel, anything like that. And also how to approach those different companies that handle those different things. And I was just speaking with an artist in Northwest Connecticut who had taken this workshop, and she called it life-changing. So we're excited to bring that one back, too.
Right. Something I know that may come up in this workshop that we've talked about in other ones is how does an artist decide on how to price your work when you try to make a living? So So it's not just a hobby, so it means you want to return. And in the market in eastern Connecticut, it's not the same economy as Fairfield County or Westchester County in New York. So that's a struggle, right, to find the right price. How do these things affect people's decisions, do you think?
Yeah, we have a few different workshops that kind of ask those questions of folks, and there's some different ways to do it, and, different equations, if you will. And some of the things that we talk to folks about is thinking about less about like what is quote unquote the right price or like the market price for something, and instead approaching it really in terms of like what do you need for this to be able to survive. And so speaking for myself, for example, I have a full-time job. I work with this program, and so when I make handmade books, for example, which is something I do, I price them at something that I know that folks in my community can pay for, because I've figured out a life where that money is not my primary income. But for someone else, it's going to be a different equation, right?
Sure.
If that bookmaking is all that they have as income, then they're going to want to put it at a different price. And that doesn't make one better than the other. We really like to think about each individual as a very unique need and decision-making.
That's a really nice thing you mentioned. I touched into that when I was doing some work a few years ago with Windham Arts, is that the avocation or the vocation can be equally beautiful if you match yourself properly. And perhaps if it's a hobby and you're not depending on it for your sustenance, maybe you just try to break even with your costs of production. Maybe that's part of it, right? In a practical way, at least you get something back to cover it.
Right. Yeah. And the way we like to think about artists is having a full-time job does not make you any less of an artist. Whether, to make it does not mean having it be your full-time job. That, sometimes to make ends meet, you have to make art that you don't want to be making because you need to pay the bills, right? And so there's all different ways for us to decide to pay our bills or to make a life that allows us to make our work in the way we want.
By the way, if you're listening to us on the radio right now, we're speaking with Molly Rideout, the Assistant Director of Assets for Artists. And something else that they help people figure out is how to be a better networker and how to connect with other artists in a non-competitive way to kind of build a marketplace for everybody and share resources. Can you mention how some of the trainings you do, like during the year, help people learn about maybe they should be in your directory? People need to know about you, and they need to know about these resources to be better known. So maybe you can touch on some of those things that people can get help with.
Yeah. So, the way we think about artists, and John, I know you and I have talked about this in the past too, is that the less we are trying to compete with each other and the more we are trying to lift each other up, the better it will be for all of us, right? And so staying connected with fellow artists or sharing, opportunities that you hear about and things like that. It may, on one side feel like, well, I don't want to share this with someone because maybe they'll get it and I won't. But if they get it, that's wonderful, and hopefully it will lead to other opportunities or more opportunities in the future for everyone in the community. And so that saying of rising tide lifts all boats is something we really advocate for among artists. And I know every time I get an email with a list of resources, I spend 5 minutes suddenly blasting it out to people who I'm thinking of when I think of a certain opportunity that I see.
Yeah. Well, in the good work you do, you meet artists throughout the year in all kinds of situations. Do you have any sense of how artists are not just working alone? Because here in our part of the state, it's pretty rural. People are spread out. There's only a limited amount of mass transit. So people work alone a lot of the time, and they're on their own. Yeah. And I guess the question I'm trying to say in a too long-winded way is, do you find sometimes artists don't join their local guilds or councils and they really struggle on their own and they don't realize that, there's a couple of groups within 20 minutes of me where I might be a member, and that can be a way for me to grow? Do you ever hear that story where joining a guild or a council means that you can grow in big ways and not have to be alone?
Yeah, I think finding your people is so important, and we do hear from artists across the region. We work in Massachusetts and all of Connecticut and Rhode Island as well.
Yeah.
The feeling of loneliness of being in the studio and not knowing where to go to get out of the studio, but still kind of be able to have those important creative conversations. And so whether it's something formal like a guild or an arts council, or whether it's like literally 5 people that can be your, a term we use is accountability buddies, to just check in with each other and say, hey, what are you working on? What are the challenges that you're facing? And, just even meeting online once a month can be a great way to just have a sense of community, but also be feeling like, oh, I got to do that thing because I told everyone I was going to do that thing.
Oh, that's true.
If our meeting comes around and I haven't done it, I'll feel silly.
Yeah.
And everything is dependent on, what's best for each person, right? So I'm someone who really likes going out and physically being with people. And so that's something that's important to me that I seek out. But some folks, it might just be easier to be able to call someone up.
Right. Well, year by year, needs change, your circumstances change. Sometimes having friends is more important than other times, but it's all part of the environment that we're working in to try to connect people. I just want to mention before we close again, the workshops are Project Management 101 in 2 parts, April 30th and May 2nd. It's a 2-part workshop, and the other one is the Art of Licensing on Monday, May 13th. And if you go to the website, you can find out more details, and you can sign up. These are open to people in Connecticut, and it's assetsforartists.org is the website. Lots of information there throughout the year, so write that one down. So Molly Rideout, thank you again for joining us today. I wish you great success with these programs, and we'll talk to you in June about the summer and the fall ahead.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, John.
All right, take care now. All right, be well.
You too.
Okay. All righty, well, we have about 2 minutes to go, I think, right, for the program today. If you want to join us in the studio, there's plenty of room here. We can pack in a few guests. Don't be shy. John at humanartsmedia.com. I'm going to take off my Captain Video helmet now, just for the phones. I know it looks ridiculous, but that's radio for you. It's a humbling thing. But a couple of last-minute reminders before we go tonight. I got to mention this, Bruce John. This is at the Bread Box Theater. They have a tribute to one of my favorite guys, John Prine. This is at the church, 7 o'clock. At St. Paul's, right on Valley Street. John Prine. There's a whole bunch of musicians. Woodsmoke, Bruce will be there, John Clark, Curtis Brand, who is older than dirt. Yes, Curtis, we love you. Also, Carolyn Brodzinski, Patty Tewitt, and Jason Altieri. Mr. Ubas is there as well. So that's 7 o'clock, about an hour from now, right down the street here. So check it out. It's all going to help the Covenant Soup Kitchen. And one more thing coming up on April 24th next week is a special Empty Bowls event. It's at the Windham Senior Center at 7 o'clock. You can buy a bowl, enjoy food, and raise funds for the Covenant Soup Kitchen at the Windham Senior Center, just on the other side of the block over here as well. That's put together by folks at Spiral Arts. So that's it for this week. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us. These shows are on YouTube as well. And we'll see you next week. Actually, we're off next week. Red Sox. I love baseball, so I don't mind being preempted sometimes for the games. Next week, we're off. We're back on May 1st. Ciao.